In my last video, I referred to David Lammy as Chance the Gardener. Of course, most of you realised I was referring to the Peter Sellers film Being There, which in its turn was based on a novel by a Polish writer called Jerzy Kosinski. I probably mispronounced that. And it's equally obviously a satire on the sort of lies that the Communist Party in Poland were telling everyone else and themselves, of course. But it's also obvious to me that some of you haven't actually seen that film. I'm not surprised. It's actually not a very good film, but it does make a prophetic point about how our political classes here in the West think of us. I'll bring in a few examples and show you how easily paternalism can turn into contempt. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. So Being There was a pet project of Peter Sellers. He had a lot of trouble getting anyone to take it up. My reading of it was that Sellers was saying something at the time about the entertainment industry and how it was all about perception. And once a certain perception was generally agreed by everyone in the entertainment industry, then everyone falls into line. And for those of you in the USA, you'll recognise how the entertainment industry read into Kamala Harris and Joe Biden before her, of course, all the presidential qualities that they wanted to see. Well, it's sort of similar over here in the UK, except for one small difference. While it's pretty certain that the Democrats in the USA really did, and some of them still do, see their particular emperor as being robed in the finest and most magnificent of state accoutrements, over here in the UK, everyone knows that David Lammy is as naked as a jaybird. But the entire media are pretending he isn't anyway. And that goes for most of Keir Starmer's cabinet. And because of that, they feel they can be more blatant about it than any American media would ever dare. Because everyone knows it's a lie anyway. One of the most egregious examples would be the Ed Balls and Yvette Cooper incident. I'll just play it in the background. Yvette Cooper is the Home Secretary, and Ed Balls, that's Yvette Cooper there, and there's Ed Balls there. He's a TV interviewer, but those two people happen to be married. And after the disturbances started off by the Southport atrocity, Ed Balls interviewed Yvette Cooper on TV as if they hadn't rehearsed the whole thing over breakfast that morning. He was throwing her all sorts of softball leading questions, which she answered without any sort of comeback questioning or any doubts being voiced by Mr. Balls about the efficacy of the government reaction. And at the same time, of course, we had Starmer's speeches about the far-right thugs, with no reference to the worried and heartbroken state of the general population. And he's obviously leaning on the legal system to punish anyone who spoke out. There have been several videos about that. And actually, now it seems that there might be more to the murderer than we've been told. Not only does it appear to be confirmed that the young man really is a Muslim and a radicalised one to boot. That was a speculation that has landed some people in jail, by the way. But Starmer himself might have been instrumental in keeping the Rudakubana family in the UK in the first place. Obviously, his government considered us not worthy of being given that information in the first place, which caused a flurry of speculations and doubt and distress in the population. Well, why did our government do that? Well, our political class have a deep, persistent and completely unrepentant contempt for the British public. To recap on the movie, Being There is about an educationally subnormal man who has been working as a gardener for some very wealthy old guy, ever since he was a child, and clothed himself in his late employer's cast-offs, very high-quality cast-offs. Chance couldn't read or write and got all his information from the television. Through a series of accidents, he was mistaken for a wealthy recluse and a financial wizard. You know, he was very well dressed, spoke gently, and he ended up giving advice on fiscal policy to the president. He was talking about gardening, but they all thought he was talking about financial planning, and they read into what he said, whatever. He was like a sort of Rorschach test for them. They just read into what he said, what they wanted him to say. And that's why I compared Lammy to Chance. And judging by his answers on Mastermind, he's got about the same level of general knowledge as Chance had, and appears to have read just about as many books. And to introduce a little bit of fun into this, I'm going to play some of his Mastermind answers. Not all of them. I'm going to cut it to the more amusing examples. But even if I cut it down to 5, you'll see the level of his lack of general knowledge. Now, let's see.
Danny, let's see how you do with general knowledge. 2 minutes starting now. What was the married name of the scientists Marie and Pierre who won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903 for their research into radiation?
Antoinette.
Curie. Which fortress was built in the 1370s to defend one of the gates of Paris and was later used as a state prison by Cardinal Richelieu?
Versailles.
The Bastille. What name is used for the highest gallery of seats in a theatre?
Pass.
Which American military award is given to those who are wounded in action and bears the inscription for military merit on the reverse?
Pass.
Which variety of blue English cheese traditionally accompanies port?
Leicester.
Stilton. Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI. In chemistry, what French word is used for a tube for transferring measured amounts of liquids?
Pass.
Which country's so-called Rose Revolution of 2003 led to the resignation of its president, Edward Shevardnadze?
Yugoslavia.
No, it was Georgia.
OK, well, I think that's enough. The fact that Starmer keeps that fool as a foreign secretary shows just how much contempt the Labour Party have for all of us and for the rest of the world. OK, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.